Male pattern baldness. 3 words that would send chills down any guy's spine above the age of 30. Guys who brush it off or think it's a laughable non-issue are probably fully bald themselves, struck the genetic lottery, or are secretly insecure about how much their untreated balding issue is quietly affecting their sense of self-worth. Let's face it, I'm balding, you're balding, chances are most guys out there are balding and don't even realize it. What matters is, what are you gonna do about it? Just like a creeping dad bod, male pattern baldness is entirely preventable and sometimes even reversible. We're going to cut through the BS snake oil solutions, dive into what really works, and the mechanics behind why these solutions stand the test of time.
To understand the solutions, we need to first understand the mechanisms behind why 70% of men will experience gradual hair loss throughout their lives. Male pattern balding, or more scientifically known as androgenetic alopecia, is the gradual thinning of hair density and eventually closing of the hair follicles. Different patterns of male pattern baldness can be seen ranging from recession of the hairline, originating from the temples, and or originating from the crown. These patterns can be categorized by the Norwood scale with increasing severity. Pause the video to see if you can recognize your hairline on the scale. Catching the symptoms of MPB early on the Norwood scale is better than leaving it too late. MPB can be primarily attributed to the conversion of free testosterone in our body into what's known as DHT. Accumulation of DHT concentrates around the follicle androgen receptors on our scalp and suffocates those hair follicles. Thus, over time, those hair follicles become smaller and smaller until eventually they completely close. This mechanism can be due to a number of reasons, not limited to stress, genetics, scalp microbiome, and metabolic issues.
The solutions that truly work, therefore, must address the DHT follicle issue directly. Luckily for us modern men, we have 3 tried and tested solutions. The first is more of a preventative measure, directly reducing and potentially outright stopping hair loss in its tracks, taken orally under the name Finasteride. Invented by the pharmaceutical giant Merck in 1993, Finasteride acts directly on the hair follicle by preventing the binding of DHT on androgen receptors located on our follicles, thereby stopping the shrinking process of said follicle. Finasteride, due to its unpatented nature, can be found under different product names, including Propecia. And due to its hormone-altering nature, you will be required to visit your GP to obtain a prescription. Of course, just like with anything in life, there are potential drawbacks or side effects that can come with Finasteride use. These may include varying levels of infertility, impotence, or lack of sex drive. During clinical trials, a reported 1% of men claimed to have experienced these side effects, which promptly reversed once they stopped taking the drug. At the end of the day, your choice to start taking Finasteride is simply a case of your appetite for trade-off between the perks of having hair and the potentiality of living with the mentioned side effects. One final note about Finasteride: due to the temporary nature of the drug, do understand that committing to this essentially means you're committing to it for life, as hair loss will proceed as usual once the drug is out of your system and DHT is allowed to accumulate back to normal.
Solution 2 comes in the form of a topical medication under the name Minoxidil. Depending on the brand manufacturer, methods of delivery include foam application or liquid-based. As well as marketed under various different names, Minoxidil's mechanism works as a local vasodilator, essentially opening up blood vessels to the applied areas, allowing for blood and nutrients to pass through the affected follicles. This has a widening effect on the follicles, which enhances thickness of hair growth and promotes replacement of shedded hair. However, just by understanding the basic mechanism of Minoxidil, we can already see that the efficiency of the solution is non-optimal when used on its own, because Minoxidil does not affect the hormone that is directly causing the gradual worsening of the balding process. Ideally, the use of Minoxidil is complementary with the usage of Finasteride. One deals directly with the prevention of hair loss, while the other helps with widening the shrunken follicles to help regrow thickness and density on a local area. Now, discussing potential side effects of Minoxidil. Much like Finasteride, taking on the commitment of Minoxidil use essentially means you're understanding the requirement for lifelong use. It's even more necessary to keep a consistent regimented schedule of application, as straying away from or outright stopping can lead to accelerated hair loss due to the shedding nature of the drug. Not ideal. Additionally, some men have reported skin flakiness, drying, itchiness, and general irritability of the localized areas.
Before we move on to the third and final most proven way to reverse male balding, it would be good to feature some honorable mentions. First, the classically troped notorious wig or toupee. Wigs cover one's entire scalp, whilst the toupee is custom tailored to your specific area which you wish to fix. This solution costs anywhere from a few dollars, ranging upwards and beyond to thousands and thousands of dollars, depending on how custom and specific your needs are. Of course, wigs and toupees come with existing social stigma and a plethora of high upkeep costs, as the solution is more akin to maintaining an expensive suit than anything else. Be prepared to shell out more maintenance bucks the more high-end your toupee is. Our second honorable mention is microneedling, with two methods of delivery, a dermapen or a derma roller. The mechanism behind microneedling involves creating subsurface trauma, which promotes collagen deposition, wound healing processes, and allows for better absorption and distribution of topical treatments like Minoxidil. Needle depths of anywhere in between 0.5 to 2 millimeters, with a happy medium of 1.5 millimeter, have been correlated with the highest success rates in clinical studies. Frequency of application varies from individual to individual, with preferred frequency being anywhere between every 3 to 5 weeks. Do note, due to the puncturing process of the treatment, minoxidil application should not be taken within 24 hours of microneedling to avoid the risk of the topical treatment becoming absorbed systemically and causing immediate health concerns. Additionally, as this is a more invasive treatment when compared to our previous examples, it is highly recommended to see a skin specialist to get a personalized consultation and advice.
Finally, we come to the holy grail of all solutions, one that is certainly not cheap, but has the tried and tested testimonials of countless Hollywood actors and tech billionaires who have silently and secretly grown back decades of hair loss. This, of course, being hair transplant. Now, there are two distinctive methods when it comes to transplanting hair: FUE and FUT, with both having their own sets of advantages and disadvantages when compared to each other. Firstly, both revolve around the same implantation methods and extract viable donor hair follicles from the same areas, and that's the back of the lower head, where the thickness is usually at its highest for most men. The difference lies in the method of extraction, where FUE relies on extracting individual follicles one at a time using a punch tool. FUT relies on extracting a linear skin graft all in one go. Both will result in having some level of miniature scarring. In an FUE procedure, patients are normally required to shave the entire head, as the specialist will most likely require access to the entire back of the head to extract individual follicles. Whilst in FUT, the patients only need to shave the discrete portion of the head, usually much less noticeable. Usually for larger areas, such as near bald patients, the FUT procedure is preferred, whilst for smaller areas such as receding temples, the FUE procedure would most likely be recommended. Of course, hair transplantation is a cosmetic solution to the appearance of hair loss. The underlying cause of hair loss must still be addressed. Therefore, most transplant clinics will highly recommend their patients start a lifetime regimen of some form of finasteride, or oral and topical solution to combat hair loss.
There you have it, folks, a no BS rundown of the solutions that actually work to combat the unspoken curse of male pattern baldness. You can see that a lot of these solutions work best in conjunction with one another, with one solution addressing the hormonal cause, whilst another tackles the regrowth of new hairs. Whatever you decide, do your research first and see your GP to talk further about your specific case. And if you do decide to go down the transplantation route, shop around. Do your research when it comes to selecting which clinic to place your trust in, because at the end of the day, it is a surgical procedure. And just for full transparency's sake, I'm currently taking Finasteride, Minoxidil, and I've been microneedling for the past 5 months, and I've seen significant levels of hair retention. Just 1 year ago, running my fingers through my hair would net me about 10 or more strands of hair. Now, I'd be lucky to see a single strand. Now that, in my opinion, is a working protocol. One I'm perfectly happy with living for the rest of my life with. So don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you found this video helpful. Click that notification button so you get to know what juicy topic we have on hand as soon as we publish it. And please leave a comment below, tell us your experience with hair loss and if you have or are looking to find treatments for it. See you all next week.